Everybody, it's Andrew Brown from the AWS Cloud Project Bootcamp, and we're continuing on with CloudFormation. We found out that we need to have DynamoDB or not DynamoDB, well, we do at some point, but right now we need to make sure our Postgres database has been moved over and turned to CloudFormation because it's not on the same VPC, and we decided to make a new VPC. That's kind of like one of the reasons why I like using the default VPC and not spinning up a new one. But, we're doing our own network layer for learning purposes, but also, some people like to do that, even though it's a little bit extra work. So, it's up to you how you want to do it. But I decided that we would do that because we just didn't get enough networking in this bootcamp. So what I'm going to do is make a new folder here. This will be DDB or just, this will be DB, I guess, because they're database one. And we'll make a new file here called template.yaml. And so what we'll do is, as always, we'll just go ahead and grab some stuff from some other places. So we'll start with this. I'll bring in the description. And of course, we did not do the stuff I wanted to do, the diagramming, but we will do that for the services once the database is hooked up. But here we want to do an RDS instance. We'll have the RDS or like a security group, database security group. And I think that's all we really need here. There could be other things. The primary Postgres RDS database for the application. Okay, and so what we'll do is bring over some common things that we need. So probably we might have parameters. I don't know, but we'll put that in, assuming that we'll have them. We'll probably have outputs for sure. Probably the security group we might want to output that. Even if we don't use it, I still want to output it. I'll go to our service one as an example to pull that out. So we'll go here and just pull this one out. We'll have to change this, but I'm just going to paste it in here for now. Whoops, it did not take it. Maybe I have to right-click paste. Nope, it just didn't take it. So go here. And we'll say copy. And we'll paste. We'll go in the front here. We'll go down. We'll comment that out. So I want to bring over the resources all the way to the top here. And so I've definitely done this before, like many, many times, the database. I might even have a database one here, database. I'm going to see if I can find one that already exists because we will still go through it, but I mean, I just want to see if I already have it because then I might already know the same defaults that I want. RDS. How about database? Web server database. Yep, so there's one, a couple years old, but I mean, it doesn't change too much. We have template from snapshot or template, and that might be something that might be important to do because if you already have a snapshot saved, which we actually probably will, you might want to load the database from that as opposed to doing what else we've been doing. So what we can do is go over here. We'll take a look here. I'm just curious what the difference is here. It's pretty darn similar, but we're going to need the RDS instance, so that's something we'll go look up. So go find RDS instance online. We'll go grab that. We'll copy that. We'll go over here, and I'm just going to move that over. And I'm just going to bring in that documentation. And so now we can right click through to that and read all about this. Okay. So we'll go ahead and grab the AWS RDS. And we'll paste that in. And then we'll need our properties. And if I go over here to the one I have to do, remember to change this back to snapshot for production. Can't use a ref on deletion policy and conditions suck. So that's kind of funny. So, we can kind of walk through this and see what we have. Now, this one actually uses deletion policy and update replace policy. So the idea here is that if you do delete it, it will take a snapshot and do an update, which are something that you definitely want to do. If we go to the documentation here, I'm not sure if that shows up here. These like delete ones. And so this is one of those cases where, right, it's not showing those because they're not like normal properties. They go on the outside here. So those are two things that we're going to want to bring in. So we have deletion policy and snapshot policy. Of course, you will have to write this manually. I'm lucky I can just copy paste this in. But we'll go here. I'll just paste these in. And maybe we'll go find the direct links on these So let's just go here to a new tab. Whoops, I want to leave that open. And we'll go here. And by the way, I just want to make sure I spun down that CloudFormation from before. I don't want it to like infinitely launching Fargate containers. So I'm going to go here and just delete this because that's never going to go anywhere. But anyway, we'll go here. And so we have the deletion policy attributes. I'll go ahead and copy that in. And then we have the update replace policy. Okay, if you really want to read these, you can, but it's pretty straightforward. If it ever has to do an update and replace, it will take a snapshot. If it has to do deletion, it'll take a snapshot. So in those cases, it will be covered. And these are going to be at the same level as the type here. Now we can go down into our properties. And so, you know, we have a bunch of options here. I'm just curious what I'm outputting. So for some reason, I output the stack name. I'm not sure why. I guess if you define the stack name as something else, you could do that. But here we have the RDS username, the port, the database name. So those are probably things that we will probably want to have. But we'll get to that stuff in a moment here. We're going to go to the top to properties. And we'll just walk our way through the top here. And there is a lot of options. So the first is allocated storage. The amount of storage in gigabytes to be initially allocated for the database. If any value is set to IOPS parameter, it must be 100 gigabytes GIPs. I'm pretty sure you get like 20 or 30 gigabytes free or something, or megabytes free. So apparently I allocated 20. So I think that is something that we will want to do because that sounds like free tier to me. Okay, and just make sure I didn't introduce a spelling mistake there. Okay, and so we'll have allocated storage. I'm putting 20 here. You can do it like this, but it might interpret that as a number and then complain because it's expecting a string, so we'll do that. The next option here we have is allow major version upgrade. Did I do that? And I did. I set it for both major and minor, so we'll bring those two over. So we'll have allow for major upgrade, and then we have the allow for minor upgrade. True and, whoops, true and true. I want to go read about what those do. A value that indicates whether major upgrades are allowed. And yeah, I think so, because we're not using anything too exotic that should break over time, but I don't think it'll be a big issue if we do that. The next thing here we have is associated roles. Do we have that in here? No, I don't see that. And in fact, I don't see any kind of role information here. There probably is role. Nope. So I don't know if we really need to set anything for that. A database identity for the database. This could be if you're trying to connect through IAM, which we are not going to do. But that's something you can do. The availability zones where the database will be created for information. Let's go take a look here. And do we set the availability zones here? No, but this database might be going into the default AZs. So the AZs where the database will be created for more information go here. And so it's possible that we probably want to set that down below here. It depends on the type of database you're using. So that could matter. For Aurora, there are some different options. The AZ parameter can't be specified if the database is a multi-AZ deployment. The specified availability zone must be in the same AWS region as the current endpoint. And so I don't really care about specifying it. If we don't have to provide it, I'd rather not because we want to leave it open to be multi-AZ. We have backup retention period. We're going to go over here. And apparently I have that as a parameter. So that's something that I think I would like to do. So go down below here and we'll just do ref and we'll go over here and then we'll go up to our parameters and that'll be the first one we set. This will probably be type what? Number, string, what does it want to be? We'll go back to my example here. It's a number and we do default 0. Now, remember, we're doing this because we're learning, but in a real use case, you'd be overriding this because you want to have backup retention, right? You don't want to lose your data. So consider that this would not actually be the default that you'd want it to be, or at least not what you want to deploy in production. So just consider that. There's a CI identifier. This is if you use your own certificate. I've never had to really do this. I'm sure there are some cases where you need to use it, but I've never done it before, so not sure what to tell you there. So we don't have to worry about that. Let's go to the next option here. Certificate details. We don't have to worry about that. Same thing with this one. Character set name for supported engines indicates the DB instance should be associated with a specific character set. This is something you absolutely should set because this always bites me in the butt later down the road when I start seeing weird characters because it can't handle Latin characters or things like that. I kind of feel like it would have been set in this one here. So I'm just looking for this character set name. I'm really surprised it's not set in here. For supported engines indicates the DB instance should be associated with the specified character set. So I definitely want to know what this one is. So character set name, and try to find more information about it. RDS. Postgres. Okay. This is the client encoding option, the parameter groups. Because I don't want it to be Latin 1. I hate it when it's Latin 1. So we'll go here and just type in character sets Postgres. And these are the ones that are supported. And maybe this is a MySQL thing. I forget because I used to use MySQL for years. And so this is something I always had to goof around with. But there are different character sets and they allow for different characters. And so I want one that's more robust. And I don't know what this is setting it to. So I think I want is UTF-8. Says for all languages. So I'm not 100% certain here, but let's go down below here. What is the default character set in MySQL, first of all? Okay, that's fine. Now Postgres. It says it's UTF-8, so if it's already set to that, I don't think I need to set it. Maybe that's why I didn't do it, but I just remember having lots of trouble with this. But maybe it was like Rails doing it, and it wasn't really this kind of problem, and I'm just kind of mixed up. Copy tags to snapshot, is that something I used? Nope, so I don't care about it. Custom IAM instance profile, probably not, because that's if you want to work with the EC2 instance underneath. I do not want to do that. DB cluster identifier. That's another thing we don't have here. That might be identifier for the DB cluster the instance will belong to. Again, don't want to do that. This is like clustering stuff. We're not clustering anything. DB instance class name, that's definitely something we probably are setting. So we will go ahead and grab this. And we will go down below and set that there. We will also want to set the parameter as well. I'm going to go back up here. And I'm going to see what we set it as. I call it instance class, I guess, here. And so I'm using a T2 micro. I'm pretty sure there's a T3 micro now, so we can go ahead and upgrade to using that. So we'll say type string. I'll say default T3 micro. It's like T3 DB micro. DB T3 micro. Okay. So I'm pretty sure T2s are old. Now we have T3s. Frick, if we have T4s, I wouldn't be surprised. But that's what I know is, because like it says M4, well, that's M4. But we can go check our database classes if we want. I don't know if there is a T4. DB T3. There is this 4G. So we'll just say like, what is it called? RDS free tier instance class. Do we get the 4G? Because that'd be cool. Just because it's using ARM. And it does use ARM. So you know what? Let's do it. Let's do T4G. If you don't know the difference between ARM and other stuff, basically the idea is that when you look at instruction set, basically the way it works. All right, and so basically it works is that if you know assembly, which you might not know, but the idea is that assembly has an instruction set. I'm just trying to find an example of one. Assembly language example. Okay, and so basically an instruction set is like, see where it says like move, int, things like that, these codes here in the front, that's like an assembly instruction set. It's the things that you can do at the most bare minimum level. It's like the most bare minimum language that you can use, called assembly, for that chipset. And so ARM has fewer fewer instruction sets. So it's utilizing a smaller set of rules, but that makes it more efficient. You think that more instructions would be better, but actually less tends to have better performance. And so that's why ARM is such a big deal. But because it has a different instruction set, not everything is compatible with that, or there might be some work to do the translation or compatibility with it. And so, that's why some people are kind of skeptical, or not skeptical, but they're not 100% comfortable with ARM. But at this point, I'm getting pretty comfortable with it. And so I think that's something that we can do there. Unfortunately, I got to go to a birthday party. So another time, I'll have to finish this up later. I'm going to stop the video now. I will come back, but this one's not too bad. We'll be done it pretty quickly. Okay? Ciao.